hurt some people's feelings. So if you a little sensitive, you might as well turn this joint off right now. Okay? How you afraid to drop it down when you...
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Real Talk with Rebel Fitness. I am so excited because my girl Kat is back today with us in the studio. Woohoo! Woo! Cue the party and the confetti and all the things. So Kat did an episode with me back when we really first started recording.
Yeah.
And she is, to this day, still our top downloaded and listened to episode.
Awesome.
And the top episode that I got responses personally, and I know you did too, obviously, but the top responded episode, if that made any sense. And so we said at the end of that episode that we were going to continue this conversation because the reality is Kat and I could sit here and do this for hours. Josh would have to shut the place down and leave and go home and come back and we would still be in here talking about it. But we wanted to follow up on some more questions and stuff that people have brought up. And obviously we just want to keep talking about this because there's a reason that the numbers on that podcast are the biggest ones. I mean, obviously, because it's us, but because we had a really real, raw conversation about healing and just the process of like starting that, recognizing it. You told some of your story about where you're at in this process and what kind of got you here. But today, I want to go a little bit deeper into the actual healing. So by the time this podcast rolls out or drops, there is a podcast. Actually, it just dropped the other day. It's called The Healing Paradox. And I went through like a very skeletal version of what healing looked like for me. And that was a really hard thing to put into words, but I managed it. I broke it up into a couple sections and I really just went over, this is what I felt like in this area, this area, this area. And what I want us to do today is like go into those a little bit more. And I feel like there's probably one in particular we'll stop on quite a bit, which is the healing and recovery stage. Yeah. But I want to go through each of these and I want us to break it down a little bit more, especially you talk to us about, what that looked like for you, what it looks like now for you, what resonates with you, any personal stuff, any of that. As per usual, when Kat and I are chatting, there are no rules, okay? So we're just going to go with this and we're going to roll, okay?
Yeah.
So first and foremost, the category that I felt like I first had to go into in this process was exposing diet culture. And so you and I talk about this stuff all the time.
Yeah.
But what does that part mean to you? Like when I say exposing diet culture, do you feel like that was kind of the first part of your getting into your healing process with all this also?
Yeah, I would definitely say for sure. I think bringing it to the light and it's like something we know deep down, like, hey, this 6-week challenge group probably wasn't the smartest, but when you bring something to the light and it starts to unfold, you're like, yeah, now there's a big light on me too of like, hey, I'm also doing these things.
Absolutely. So what does something I talked about in the episode that we did when I talked about my healing experience was I can usually recognize diet culture now. If all else fails, I can recognize it by recognizing if it is something that creates shame in me. Does that resonate with you? And is that something that you feel currently that you're using as kind of like a North Star? Like, how do you identify diet culture now that you're aware of it? And what were some of the first things that you remember recognizing?
Yeah, definitely protein shakes are a big thing for me. I still eat protein powder. I like protein powder, but I cannot eat a protein shake. It's still, and nothing bad about it. And one thing that I should say before we start this is this is my healing journey. Mm-hmm. What works for me might not work for somebody else. One of my mentors, she says, take what you love, leave what you hate, And so what worked for me might not work for you and vice versa. Yeah. And so I think one thing that you do so great is this podcast is to bring attention and awareness, but then also you're not a doctor.
Right.
I'm not a doctor. I'm not saying that this is going to absolutely work.
Right.
And so it's our experience. It's
Absolutely.
our opinions.
Absolutely.
And so when it comes to some of those things of like, counting calories, MyFitnessPal, protein, now don't get me wrong, I will hit my protein. There are protein goals I like to hit, but I'm not hitting calorie goals. I'm not, I'm not stepping on the scale, stuff like that. Those are big, big things for me. Even when I was starting to lean out, people are like, how much weight have you lost? I have no idea. I can't even tell you how much I weigh. I don't know the last time I've stepped on a scale.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I think that, I talked about that in the episode too, was, first of all, kind of talking about it not having to be black or white. That's a big thing that we stand for, obviously, in here is, Kat story is Kat story. Mine is mine. We talk about discernment a lot. You have to be able to use your own discernment. Something you and I talked about yesterday when we were kind of chatting about this was, at the end of the day, nobody's really going to ever know whether or not you are healthy, whether you are doing the thing right, wrong, good, bad, except you. And so there'll always be all of these like thoughts or ideas or opinions about what somebody else has going on, but you're never ever going to know. Like, the only person that's going to know is you. So if there's a person trying to make a case for something, a weight loss program of some kind, and they're saying, this is the best way, this is the healthiest way, this is it, and we're over here saying, that's disordered. There's a lot that, we don't like that, and these are the reasons we don't like it. Again, it's a spectrum. So we're not trying to like shit all over the person over here who feels like what they're doing is great, but at the end of the day, only they know if what they're doing and the way they're doing it is not disordered, is truly healthy. And the same thing with us. Like, we're over here on the other side of this trying to be healthier and make better decisions and, be in a better space mentally. But at the end of the day, we're the only ones who know, what that looks like.
Right. 100%.
Yeah. So one thing in exposing diet culture, I think, is when you have actually been able to expose it for yourself personally, being able to recognize things that you previously may have thought were healthy or that were really good for you or that were a staple in your life, but now have become a diet culture thing for you. And maybe it's not for other people. But like you were talking about with the shakes, that is something that would be deemed as something healthy. It would be deemed as a really great way to start off a morning. Heck, I have my kids drink shakes in the morning. But talk about what that looks like to you now that you've exposed diet culture for you personally, and how that's affected some things that could be, they're healthy things, but they're actually diet culture for you, i.e. the paradox of healing. Yeah.
No, for sure. I think one of the big ones that stands out is obviously protein. For the longest time, every single morning, I was eating a bowl of oatmeal with egg whites and protein powder. And I can't do that right now. I did actually say to you the other day, I was like, Chris, I'm kind of craving this, which is wild because I was like, I actually freaked out. I was like, why am I craving this? Does this mean I'm going backwards? Like, what is happening? And you were like, actually, it's the opposite. You're craving it because your body feels healthy. Like, it feels safe again, is kind of think what you said. And I was like, okay, because I actually freaked out. I was like, why am I craving something that I ate when I was doing this hardcore? And if you add peanut butter to it, it's amazing. But like, to the point where I used to even measure the amount of peanut butter I put in there, like, because I was like, oh my gosh, it has to be straight to the T. And, and then lemon water. Lemon water is so amazing for your body. And I think that's where people can get it's a little hard at times because you're like, oh, you're saying don't drink lemon water. No, lemon water is actually great for your body. And like, if you look at the science behind it, but in my mental, it's not great for my mental because why I was drinking lemon water, I couldn't tell you the science behind it, but I could tell you it sped up my metabolism and it burned me some fat. So bring it on, baby.
Yeah, 100%.
And I do think that's the difference is like why behind you're doing something. Like, you're doing some science, you want to do some research, great. But like, for me, that was not it. That was like, I know this is going to burn fat real quick, so give me all the lemon water.
Absolutely. And it's interesting that you say, like, I know it's going to burn fat really quick, but then in the same sentence you said, I don't have any science behind that. I don't actually know. And I think that's, again, it's like the paradox. Like, we just get in this mindset of like, we know, guys, we know. intermittent fasting, I know. Like the amount of conversations, I'm going to call my sister out on this. Her and I got into it one time about intermittent fasting. And this was, again, when I was already starting to kind of like recognize and expose diet culture in my own life. And I was like trying to kindly bring her along with me. And we got into it about intermittent fasting. And she just like ping, 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 hitting me with all the science and how it regenerates cells and does all these things. And I was like, listen, Katie, I hear what you're saying because I literally was just there doing keto with you and doing all these things.
Right.
But I want you to think all the way back to when we first started doing this stuff and look at where you are now. And has it ever actually helped us long term?
Right.
No, because we're in the exact same spot. And so that's what I was like telling her, like, that's what I'm talking about. Exposing in the 30 days that we did it. I don't know. Did I probably never even made it 30 days, honestly, because that's intermittent fasting's hard. But like in the short time that we did it, the 7-8 days that I did it like a champ, did I regenerate some cells? Who the hell? Maybe. I don't know. But did I torture myself and create more disorder and starve myself and restrict myself and then binge right afterwards? 100% did those things. And again, if you're looking at then that's information. So if you don't have the science on it, if you don't have any like actual information, if I don't have a PubMed study that I can look at, or I don't have whatever, so like lemon water, for example, then I have to gather my own information about that. And I have to say, okay, well, lemon water, I enjoy, it kind of sets me off on the right tone for the morning. Lemon water is something I've been doing forever because my ancestors did it. We're Swedish. And so that was the thing that they always did. My great grandma did it. My grandma did it. You know, my mom has done it always. And it's just a nice way to just like drink something in the morning, get going a little bit. Somewhere along the line, it got, it burns fat and speeds up your metabolism. It took on all these other things. Again, diet culture weaponizes everything. Exactly. They take something that's like just a nice little thing to do, and they turn it into all these other things. But if you know that like taking that in, it triggers me into feeling like absolutely shit, or it makes my stomach hurt really bad, or I think it's eroding my teeth, or you know what I mean? Like, then that's the information that you need to make the decision for you, regardless of anything else that's out there. And then
I used to do apple cider vinegar shots, and I would get like, I still cannot smell apple cider vinegar to this day, but it would make me so nauseous. But in my brain, I was like, I will be nauseous for 6 hours. So that is psychotic. No offense. And you experience it too. But like, I am putting pain to myself because I think I know what it would do to my body.
Well, and at the end of the day, you'd be nauseous for 6 hours, so you're not going to eat. So of course you're going to lose weight.
Ding, ding,
and
ding.
So, again, at the end of the day, we know that that's not healthy. But now we know that because we've exposed diet culture in our lives. And so we know that not eating for 6 hours is not healthy. It's terrible for our metabolism. It's terrible for our health. It's terrible for our blood sugar levels. It's terrible for our hormones, all the things. But then the decision was, back like when we were in the depths of this kind of stuff, is the goal and the good thing is to be skinny. And it trumps everything else. So whether I am jacking my metabolism, I don't know. I don't even know really what that is. So who really cares about that?
Right.
Am I messing up my hormones? I don't know. Like, I can't see them. I can't feel them right now. So who cares? All I know is I'm trying to get ripped or jacked or skinny or whatever the situation is. So I'm going to prioritize that thing. So I think it's really... And I think these are the conversations too. Like, we have these conversations all the time, and you can still, like, the amount of times that Kat and I've talked about this, and I can still say stuff and she can still say stuff, and we'll like pick it apart still and be like, dag, like that literally just happened on the podcast in real time, where it's like, let's process through that. And those are the conversations. And, so I'm going to kind of like roll in straight into the healing and recovery part, because I think this is really one of the main things that we talked about, both of us, and feel strongly about, is the company that you keep.
Yeah, for sure.
In this process. So talk to me about that. Like, what did that look like? Did you have to change relationships and set boundaries? And, I know the gym's a big part of it for you, and that's been huge for both of us to have a space that transitioned along with us. But what else in that part of it have you experienced?
There were relationships that I didn't come out and say, hey, like, I'm going to have to take a step back from you. Like, I didn't explain it. I just did that myself because I didn't have the words, but I knew being around them, being like, oh my gosh, I just gained so much weight, or I can't believe I ate that, or I'm not going to eat. Like, I couldn't quiet that noise yet. I did not have the tools in my toolbox, as like you like to say, to quiet them and quiet myself. So I had to remove myself, and then that's okay. And I removed myself from some family. Like there are certain family members that I love and adore, but like from the ripe old age of 10, I knew, okay, there two things are about to go down. When I see this family member, they're either going to say, oh my goodness, you look so great. Like, you know, talking about my body. And then that means I lost weight. And if they did not acknowledge my body, they didn't have to say anything, but not acknowledging my body mean I gained weight. And so those are the relationships where I'm like, okay, I have to be careful. There were relationships where like people talked about my arms from a young age of like, you need to cover up your arms are big, blah, blah. So that still carried over. So it's one of those things where, yes, your circle matters, what people say around you. And there are going to be times that people are still going to make comments. And I just came from a wedding, and, you know, I don't know what it is about different generations, but like, why is the first thing to come out of your mouth is, oh my gosh, you lost weight. Well, how are you? Like, and it's like, why is that the first topic of conversation? Like, I would love to do another episode of like words that you guys could say to other people of like, oh my gosh, girl, your hair looks good. Or, you know, I really love that dress you're wearing. Like commenting on somebody's body should never be the first word comment out of your mouth. Absolutely. I digress.
Or ever.
Yeah.
I'll add that.
Ever. And so I think, yes, your circle matters. And then also, who you like, I think we've talked about this a little bit, and I think you talked about it on the podcast before, but like unfollowing people on social media.
Yes.
And like, you know, who you follow, who you listen to, like what shows are you watching? You can go back and watch. Like I love Gilmore Girls. I love One Tree Hill. I love that Gossip Girl. But if you go back and like actually listen to some of those episodes on stuff that they're saying and what they're wearing and how they're like, I understand, like, I can watch those now, but, like, you are more in tune of, like, she just said that in the 2000s. No wonder we were so messed up.
Oh, girl.
And so, yeah, like, and there's no way we can get around it. So, like, my encouragement is, okay, take 4 months, take 3 months, and build that toolbox of those people so that when you are around it, that you have that ability to either let it brush you off, you have the confidence to say, hey, please don't comment on my body. The first time I ever said that to one of my family members was one of the scariest moments of my life. But then it was also one of the proudest moments that I was like, don't comment on my body.
Yes.
So yeah.
Yes. I freaking love that. Like I have goosebumps with that because again, it is something that is so ingrained in people. And you and I talk about this all the time, but we have created such a group around us. And I know, again, the gym helps us because we're but our friends and our family, even my social media is very non-toxic and disordered when it comes to that stuff. You know, part of the last podcast that Shamar and I did, we were trying to jump scare each other with different diet trends and things that are out there that are really scary. And just actually looking for that stuff on my social media, I was like, this is horrifying. This stuff is actually out there in people's For You pages because I am so not used to it. I don't have that stuff in my space anymore. And so when I hear somebody say something or I see somebody act a certain way or whatever, we have new members come in, we do consults and they'll say some of the most unbelievable things. And I still get a little bit shell shocked because I have curated a space around me that is very healthy and that is very, conducive to my healing process.
Yeah.
And so, and that is, you know, you and I talked about this too the other day when we were talking about it. It's diet culture is like a weapon.
Yeah.
And think about that however you want to. I'm going to use it in regards to something that would hold bullets, okay? And I'm not going to say the word over and over again so that we get this cut off. But diet culture is a weapon. But the reality is you have some control over its ability to hurt you. And just about anything can be weaponized anymore. Okay. So this can be, you know, relationships, this can be religion, this can be, you know, like the diet culture stuff that we're talking about. Really anything can be taken and weaponized. So bullets being put into the weapon in order to hurt somebody with it. The thing that we do during the healing and recovery process is twofold. we educate ourselves about it so that we know situations where the weapon might be, right? So it's like, I'm not going to let myself get hurt by this because I know where it might be. I'm not going to go down that road. I'm going to stay out of that. I'm going to curate space around me that I won't be hurt. But that's not always realistic, right? So the second part of this is you healing and recovering so that when the weapon does try to hurt you, it can't.
Yeah.
Because you've disarmed it. And so I think that's a big part of that is when you set a boundary of like, don't comment on my body, like me just saying that out loud, I can't tell you, it feels so good. It feels empowering just to say, I'm not even saying that to you. I'm not saying that to anybody in this room, but just making that statement. I have had people, like you were talking about, people who have weaponized the way your arms look against you, people who have weaponized the way your body looks. And whether they meant to do it or not, that's 100% what they were doing.
Yeah.
And you carry that with you. I've had people do that in my life too. I've had coaches do that to me before where it's like, well, we really would like you to be at this certain weight to be a volleyball player.
Right.
Well, we would really like for, you get your legs a little bit trimmer. Well, we would really like to, like, whatever, your body fat percentage down at least 1%.
Right.
Like, I'm over here twitching. Like, 1% is going to make me an Olympic volleyball player. Got it.
Right.
Are we really just obsessed about that? But all those things weaponize it. I've had somebody very close to me in my life weaponize the way I look against me at a point. And I remember thinking, I just literally one day I was like, yeah, no, we're not doing that shit anymore.
No.
I will not let another person on this planet ever use words or use anything like that in order to hurt me and try to make me turn against my own body.
Right.
Her, this gal, my body, the one who has brought me through all of these decades, brought me my beautiful children, brought me through injuries, surgeries, life changes. Like, you really want to try to weaponize me against me.
Right.
And that was something that I had to really like stand on business with and do the work and lean in therapy. And lean in with myself and be like, how do I disarm this weapon internally?
Yeah.
So now you can pew pew at me all day long when it comes to this stuff.
Yeah.
But it will not affect me.
No.
It won't.
No.
And that's the beautiful part of healing, but it's the hardest part.
It is.
Because we want to put so much stake in that. So when somebody says something that's terrible to you about your body, you want to take that the most personally, especially if it's something that you're insecure about and somebody knows that, type situation. But it is the most beautiful and powerful thing when you can 100% accept you as is and know that I don't care if it's the person. I mean, it's one thing to have a troll on the internet say something to you, but when you have the people closest to you in your life weaponizing things like that against you, that's another level.
Yeah, for sure.
And so being able to disarm that weapon, I think, is the most powerful thing that I have been able to do. And it sounds like that you've been able to be. And again, this is not perfect. So we have our moments and we have things that people, it's still like, whoa, that threw me off.
Right.
But it only takes me a second to get back up there.
Yeah. It's wild. You said this and like, just a brief thing, like not lie, not exaggeration. I have had 3 people. So like I used to work out in the morning at Rebel and then there's a Harris Teeter right near Rebel. And so I would go get some food or whatever. And like every time when I had a tank top on, a man would reach up and grab my bicep and be like, did you just leave the gym today? The audacity of them. And like, why is that so normal? And like, I remember the first couple of times they did it, that was when I was still insecure. And then the last time they did it, I was like, yeah, I did. His name's Shamar. Would you like to go meet him? Like, I was like, do not touch me. A, keep your hands off me. And then B, why do you got to comment on my arms?
Yeah.
Ooh, I got fired up there. But anyway, so like, I think that's like, goes back to like, you mentioned earlier, like this isn't linear. Like it's not a one and done thing. Like, in 2021 is when everything went down for me. I finished 75 hard, all the weight loss challenges, blah, blah, blah. I just moved out of my, the place I was living to a new apartment now. It is 2025. So that is 4 years if you guys can't do math. I still...
no shame. No shame if you can't.
I I kept it hidden, but I had like 4 pairs of size 10 jeans because I was like, I would try them on still to this day as being very healthy, as being like, hey, I'm going to overcome this. I'm going to work through this. But like, I would still every now and then slip them on. I mean, I didn't even get them over my kneecap, maybe like a little bit up here, but why? Yeah. So I threw them away. Or I donated them. I work at a thrift store. But, so it's like there are still things in the back of my head that I'm like, ooh, you still struggle with that. Like another thing that I just did recently, not recently, I've always done it, but like when I was on 75 Hard, well, no, but after 75 Hard, I was on a supplement challenge. I would count out 10 chocolate chips that I would eat every night, just 10. Because 10 was like 15 calories. I don't even remember, to be honest with you.
Good.
Yeah. And, but now I have a cute little bowl with a lid on it, and I have chocolate chips on my counter. And the freedom of like, do you want some? Sure. I'll take a little nibble when I'm cooking dinner. And then there's days where I haven't even touched the chocolate chips. And that was progression for me. And that might sound stupid and it might sound little of like, she's got chocolate chips on her counter, but so what is your vice? When you're listening to this, like what is something that you're like, hey, like that was like something was a problem. And now I've kind of transformed that. And like, I think sometimes when people listen, they're like one of their big things is like, oh, I wish I could be like her, or like, dang, but dang, she doesn't get this, or I struggle with this. And like, I think that's where, at the end of the day, yes, like these podcasts are amazing and I'm sure there's way more we could say, but like I think too there needs to be some self-accountability where we take hold of like, hey, I know that this isn't okay. And like, yes, I might want to be like her. I wish I could do that. But what is that root for me? Yeah. And how can I pull up that root? Because if you cut grass, it's just going to grow back, and you can pull the weeds, but you need to pull a root out, because when you pull that root out, then you're exposing it, and you're exposing it to light, because roots grow in darkness. Yeah. And I don't believe in growing in darkness. I believe in growing in light. So how do we pull that out to be able to walk in that light?
Yeah. I love that. And I think a big part of what we're doing on here too for people is validating. Yeah. Because a lot of time the healing process can't start until you've had somebody validate. Yeah. Like I remember when I first started, like the time of this podcast, because this could be 20 years down the road and you're listening to our podcast, which yay. But the time of recording this podcast, if you search anti-diet culture, weight neutral, gyms or facilities or whatever it is, you are not going to find any. We are one of the first that come up. And I mean, we're talking searching the World Wide Web for this. Yeah. And then as far as like therapists and nutritionists, there are just not many. There's way more than there were before, thank goodness, but it's still a very small percentage. And so I think it's important for people to hear a voice like ours, validating their experience, because sometimes it's like, we got to take accountability for certain things, but a lot of the time it was caused by something else. Like it literally is this machine that is working against us to profit against us, to make us crazy, and to continue to watch us fail over and over and over again. Yeah. And so I think there's like a beautiful combination of that can be like, yes, I need to take some accountability for my emotions and my feelings and things that I have done to maybe make this a little bit worse in some areas. Things that I have done in the name of being skinny that have, done this to me, but also who got us on this track of feeling like we need to be skinny in the first place. So a lot of validation, a lot of times I'll go into my therapy sessions and my therapist will just be like, I'm going to work to validate you today, because I know you don't get a lot of that in your regular life. Yeah. And by the time, when he says it, I'm like, okay. And by the time I come out of it, I'm like, oh my God, that was so amazing. And I, shout out to Melissa. She's a bodywork woman that we use. She's a member of our gym. She's incredible. I've shouted her on the podcast before, but during the sessions, she's doing a body work session. She will validate over and over again. She will lift you up over and over again during the session. And by the time I come in, I don't even know what I'm doing. My body is doing something that she's like, great job. That's amazing. Good work, whatever it is. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is I just feel so incredible.
Yeah.
So incredible.
One thing you just kind of prompted is like a girl reached out to me on my social media and she said, hey, like I've been struggling with something for the last couple weeks and I don't know why I reached out to you now, but like you have said and you seem so much happier even though you have gained weight.
Yeah.
And it kind of took me back for a second because I was like, oh my gosh, other people have noticed I gained weight. And then I was like, no, I am happier. There's this picture in the gym and, I have my hair and makeup done and I am tiny. And like, I look at that picture and like, you can keep it up. But like, it's one of those things where I look at that picture and I'm like, that girl is smiling, but she is so far from being happy.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things. So this girl was asking me, she was like, how did you do this? Like, she was like, she went from pretty much starving herself to back to 3 days a week weight training. She's eating real food, not just a protein bar, a protein shake, different stuff like that. And she was struggling because her body was gaining weight.
Yeah.
And I remember I read back our messages because I didn't remember them because of the Holy Spirit takes over when you're in these situations. But I told her, I said, yeah, you're probably are going to gain weight because your body is in fight or flight. And when you're taking in real food and real things, your body is not experiencing that or used to that. So it's like, I'm going to hold on to this because I don't know the next time she's going to feed me. Yeah. And so then when you keep being consistent and you keep feeding your body every single day, you doing the weight training, I told her, I said, you will tone up, you will lean out a little bit, but your body does not feel safe yet. Yeah. Because for years you have tormented and tortured your body that it doesn't know what to believe. And so until it can feel safe with you, she was like, and so she even told me, she was like, I got rid of some of my clothing. And I said, good for you. I said, it took me 4 years to do that. So props to you. And one of the biggest things I said to her was like, hey, self-awareness. Like you were aware enough that you weren't eating enough. You were aware that you were in the gym 5 to 6 days a week. Like you were aware and you said, this is not okay. I want to change. And so that was really big for me too. And like, I think one thing that, and you could probably speak to this, is like, we're not saying go out and eat donuts at every meal and Taco Bell and it's okay to gain all this weight and I think there is a balance of that. Like I eat cottage cheese for protein in the morning because if I eat a muffin, my blood sugar is going to drop and then my staff is not going to want to be around me because I will be the angriest person in the world. Yes. We're not saying like go out and like gaining 400 pounds is okay, but like getting to a place that you are healthy and then it's almost like intuitive eating. We've talked about this. Like balance, what's going to work forever, Well,
I think a lot of people, intuitive eating seems very woo-woo. And what you're talking about with like the safety of your own body and your own system feels very woo-woo to people too. And that's what I always joke with people. I'll be like, okay, listen, this is going to sound a little witchy. This is going to sound a little woo-woo. But trust me on this. There is something to that, the safety. And a lot of the time, I think too, with what you're talking about with the intuitive eating, people get really confused with that. They're like, oh, so that means eat everything? Like, not at all. But it means fundamentally coming all the way back down to the space where did we learn that food was good or bad?
Rest.
I can almost 90%, probably even more than that, with the clients who come in, the people who come into Rebel, who are dealing with some type of food disorder. We can walk that back to a place in time where somebody somewhere established for them that food was either good or bad, that food had a moral value. And again, we talked about this on another podcast, but where if you eat an apple, you should feel great about yourself. And if you eat a donut, you should feel like absolute shit about yourself. Yeah. And that's where it begins, because then we create all these other things that go along with this. And again, it's very different for everybody. It's super disordered in certain ways for certain people and not for others. There's a very large spectrum on it. But the second food gets this moral value, then now the guilt kicks in. Now the shame kicks in. Now all of those other things that should never be related to food start kicking in. And now food becomes psychological. And now the stress becomes a part of it. And now the dopamine becomes a part of it. And now the restriction cycle becomes a part of it. And now the binging becomes a part of it. And there's more guilt and there's more shame and there's more, but okay, I should be doing this. And now we're searching everywhere for the answer, the right answer to fix us. Yeah. Where did we
Yeah.
get broken? Like, where
that.
did we get messed up that we needed to be fixed by this good and bad food from the get-go? And the second you take the power from that, again, it changes everything. It changes, and it takes practice. You know, when you were talking about the chocolate chip thing, I was thinking that was one of my first signs for me. Like, my vice was Halloween candy.
Yeah.
I was like, yes, I got 3 kids. I'm going to get all this Halloween candy, but I'm not going to sit and eat all the Halloween candy with everybody there. I'm going to have like little piece. I'm going to kind of like push mine to the side. I'm going to steal candy out of their bags. And when they're all going, who ate my such and such? I'm going to be like, I don't know. Must have been one of your sisters. Like, I don't got to tell anybody this. But I would obsessively go back to the pantry over and over and over again. And then I would teach people, well, out of sight, out of mind. And this is perfect because that's what I have to do for my kids' Halloween candy. So I put it up in the back of the pantry, and then I don't have to worry about it being there. But that's a Band-Aid.
Yeah.
And when I really started leaning into this, and I really started taking the power away from food and saying a Snickers bar is not bad and an apple's not good, they're both food.
Yeah.
One is just a calorie dense, got a little more sugar in it, sweet treat that, you know, is whatever. And then one is like a fruit from a tree that's going to give me XYZ too. And then I could even be like, damn, do I even like a Snickers?
Right.
Like,
right.
do I even like this? And the answer is no.
Yeah.
I don't remember the last time I had a Snickers.
Give me all your Snickers.
I will give them to you. Like an Almond Joy,
Ooh,
a
those are
Mounds.
good.
I'm a coconut gal.
Yeah.
But like, that is what it did for me. And again, people would call that intuitive, but that's all it was taking the power away from those things, stopping with the guilt and the shame, and then me being able to look at food for what it actually is.
Yep.
And not saying, I'm going to eat this because I shouldn't eat this. And not only am I going to eat this because I shouldn't eat this, I'm going to eat it away from everybody else. I'm going to hide it. And I'm probably going to eat 1,000 times more than I should because this is bad and I shouldn't be doing this. And I'm never going to do it again. This is the last time I'm going to do this. So I need to eat as much as I can and as fast as I can because I'm never going to do it again. And it's the cycle.
Yeah.
Instead of me being like, this is a Snickers bar, I can have one whenever the hell I want to, and I feel no guilt or shame associated with eating this instead of an apple over here. All of a sudden, I'm holding the Snickers bar going, yeah, I don't even want that.
Right.
And then the power
that it
is
has
restored back to you and is taken from it. And now 1,000 Snicker bars can sit in my damn pantry. And Halloween candy can sit in my pantry. Literally, I just threw away Halloween candy from last year that I pulled out of our pantry that nobody ate. But I would not have let that happen back in the day. I would have ended that candy violently.
Yeah.
Okay. And so, but now I don't even think about it.
Right. Well, that just like I've talked about this, not on here, but I'm hoping this can resonate with somebody because you kind of made me really think about this is like, I had to go to therapy for what I'm about to say, but, like, I was on the way to Dairy Queen to get a Blizzard, and I like a chocolate ice cream with Reese's, and that's like my go-to. That's what I like. But literally the whole way there, I'm like, do I get the chocolate with Reese's because I know that's what I like, and that's like that. I don't want it to be ruined, but I should get the vanilla with the Oreo because like I haven't gotten that in a while. Or I could put Oreos and Reese's together. But like I am legit spiraling, and you know why I'm spiraling? Because I'm like, what if I mess up this Blizzard? And then when's the next time I'm going to get one? And I'm literally like talking it through with my therapist, and she goes, you can go back tomorrow and get one. Like she literally said, like, I know it sounds so childish, but if you can resonate with this, like, I hope I can help you guys. And the fact that like, she looked at me and she said, and if your Blizzards mess up, you can go back tomorrow and get another one. And like, I had no response because she was right. I had a car, I had money. Why couldn't, like, why else?
Free will is the
free
kids
will.
say.
Like, and like, but that was so crazy to me. And even like taking out dessert, like I made tacos the other night. I love tacos, you know, put all your lettuce and tomatoes and guac and salsa. But the other night, like after, like, you know, I was having leftovers, I just wanted meat, cheese, and salsa. But my brain, even now, was like, you should put some lettuce on there. You should put some tomatoes. I don't want that tonight, but you should. It's a vegetable. Mm-hmm. And it's like those things that are still cyclical in our brains. And, you know, like, I know for some people, like Shamar and I were talking about this. I was like, Shamar, it probably sounds crazy that I couldn't go to Dairy Queen and was unraveled about what Blizzard. And if you've never been unraveled, I love that, you know? But like, if you have, I just need you guys to know you're not crazy. Yeah. That nothing is wrong with you. Yeah. That this is just stuff that like is constantly coming up in our brains, and like, you're going to be okay and it's going to be okay. Yeah. But I thought I was legit crazy and losing my mind. So I just need people to know you're not crazy.
Absolutely. It's
Yeah.
the diet culture spiral.
Yeah.
I always say that when my eating disorder stuff rages, it rages. I
Yeah.
will wake up some mornings and just be like, I will do whatever it takes to lose 10 pounds.
Yeah.
I will order all the things nobody will ever have to know. I will go, pay for whatever I need to, the thing that we always talk junk about on the podcast that doesn't work, I'll make sure I'm going to go try and make sure that thing doesn't work. And it's very similar to that. Or I'll be ordering something and it'll just be in the back of my head, like, you better go home and work this off. Like, you better go home and exercise this off. Even when I'm in the gym sometimes, be like, you should jump in this boxing class because of what you ate earlier today and you know it type situation. It's just the disorder talking. And I always try to envision myself. I said this the last time we recorded. I envision myself as literally like a knuckle dragging caveman when I'm talking like that. Like it's the lizard brain coming through. And I have to like demean it to that point so that I can be like, yeah, no, we're not doing that. We are way past that. This is a moment. It's temporary. I'm going to move through it. But something as simple as picking a blizzard is not as simple as picking a blizzard, because for years you were taught you better get this right because you're not getting another one of these because this is a bad food. And you should be ashamed of eating this food. And so that's just what it comes from. And it's incredible, but I love that. I absolutely think people will resonate with that. And some of the stuff sounds cuckoo, but we were made cuckoo. Yeah. I mean, our whole lives have been centered around being skinny from the moment that we were born. And I think that's another important part. We'll kind of wrap up the recovery part and move into the next one. But the second you can decenter skinny, like there's a big movement right now, like for women to decenter men. It's like a big part of feminism. But it is so healthy to decenter whatever it is. For me, Jesus stays in the middle and then me. And that's what has to be centered. And then right on the ring outside of that is going to be my family. And then it's going to be, like other things as you keep going out further. But we have centered skinny for so long that it literally takes over and we become like lizards thinking about it. It's like I've got my mindset on one thing and that's it. It's like the goldfish, like that's it. Does it have something to do with being skinny? If it is, then great. You and I were talking about this yesterday too. I was telling Kat, not a lot of people know this about me, but I 100% was in a period too when I was deep in disorder that it started branching out to other things. And for me, it was being tan also. So I got obsessed with being tan because I was a big Laguna Beach fan. Shout out Laguna Beach.
They're doing a reunion.
What?
In 2026.
Well,
we should have a party.
Sweet. We should 100%. So
really when we're pale and tan.
Exactly. So I was watching this interview one time and it was Audrina on there. And she said, she goes, they were asking why she was tan. It was like the middle of winter and she was always so dark. And she was like, oh, I always stay tan. She was like, because you always look skinnier tan. Like everybody needs to be tan. And I remember just being like, oop, noted. Need to be tan all the time. It was so, and again, I didn't think anything of it at the time, but later when I was unpacking things, I remembered like we were talking about Laguna Beach one time, we were talking about Audrina. It led to all these memories and I was like, holy crap. That was 100% where I kind of like started that whole thing. So I would go to the tanning bed all the time. I mean, I would walk. I was telling Kat, he lives in Tyler at ECU. And this is back when there was like hardly anything in town. But there was that one tanning place down by Harris Teeter. And I used to walk down there, rain, sleet, snow, 2,000 degrees. It did not matter to get my ass in that tanning bed because I wanted to make sure I was skinny. Then when spray tan started, I was in there. Knuckles looking crazy. Like it was like coming off in weird places. This is back when they first started. So they were not cute. It was like orange. I look back on those pictures and I'm like, who let me do this?
You were still getting spray tans when I first met you, but not as much. But
and now none.
I don't know the last time.
And Kat will tell you too, like even when we're out in the sun, I'm like, put your 50 on, put your sunscreen on, get your hats on, like all the things. Again, I've decentered it. So it's not something. So do I love to have a nice tan in the summertime? Of course I do. I love being in the sun. But at the end of the day, it's not changing the way I feel about how I look. It's not going to do it because I've decentered that entire thing. So, but it just goes to show how powerful that stuff is and how it will get into your brain literally like a leech and it will go into all these other areas. And it took me a minute again to be like, wow, that is disordered. I am making being tan disordered.
Right.
Like that's how deep this goes.
Yeah.
So
well, even like, you know, I think sometimes too, like we've talked about, like too much of a good thing can also be a bad thing.
Oh,
like,
yes.
You know, and like I can't wear an Apple Watch. I've never owned an Apple Watch.
Yes.
Lord, I probably need one because of the amount of text messages or phone calls because I do run a business. But like I refuse to get it.
Yeah.
Because even when you and I were working out and we were working out with Anna, I'd be like, hey, how many calories did we do?
Yeah.
Did we close our circles? Like it's on her body. But like
Yeah.
I was still like, well, it's not, I don't have it. And
Yeah.
it's like, if you can wear an Apple Watch and not think twice of it, great, do
Yeah.
it. Or the Aura ring. You know, people are
Yeah.
like, Kat, get the Aura ring. And I'm like, love you so much, but I can't.
Yeah.
Oh, it'll do all these things for
Yeah.
your heart rate. And cool. I know myself enough
Yeah.
to the point I still can't get one.
Yeah.
And like, you know, I could turn off the app. What doesn't matter what I could do. I can turn off the rings and blah, blah,
Yes.
blah. But I'm not
Yes.
going to, because if you can turn off the rings, I can also turn it back on.
Yep.
You know, if I can save a pair of pants for 4 years and just told you that yesterday,
Yeah.
then I can turn back some or like
Yeah.
some rings back on. So
Absolutely.
like it's also knowing yourself enough to know, can't do that right now.
Yeah.
You know, and so taking a self adjustment too. And I think
Yes.
one of the beautiful things too is like people might be like, oh, well, like Kat has Carissa and Carissa has Kat. Yes, like we do. But like one thing that like I always want to like say to people is like, you don't have to do this alone. Like have those people in your life, text them. Hey, I'm thinking about this.
Yeah.
I just need someone else to know. Get up and go on a walk. Like there have been times, even to this day, there have been times where I really still want to stick my finger down my throat.
Yeah.
Even though I'm not going to.
Yeah.
But I get up and I go on a walk. I
Yeah.
get up and I change scenery. Changing your scenery can change your mindset instantly. Go to your car, get something out of your car. Go do laundry. Go
Yeah.
do something else to get your mind off of that repetitive thought of like,
Yeah.
you just ate that cookie. You could go throw it up. You know, if you go throw it up, go wash your laundry.
Yeah.
Go run to the store. Like not run, literally like drive your car to the store.
Well, you could run.
Or you can run. I don't care what you do. But changing your scenery can
Yes.
also help flip a mind switch in a
Absolutely.
minute.
And having that circle, I think you're exactly right, is, you know, if you have a gym, again, like this is how we built Rebel, so
Yeah.
that when people are having that moment, they can go to their gym.
Yeah.
And that's going to be the healthiest place, where
Yeah.
most gyms, unfortunately, you would not be able to do that. That would
Right.
be an even bigger trigger for that
Yeah.
situation. And
Yeah.
so I think you're 100% right. And that kind of goes into the next, you know, into the same vein of the next part of this, which is building back
Yeah.
true health. So we talked about, you know, what does that look like as far as like resetting goals and recreating your own autonomy and taking the power back and doing different things like that. But have you, like, what are your goals as you are rebuilding this back? And you're literally talking about this as
Yeah.
we're talking in every single thing that you're saying. Like there's no scales right now. There's no Apple Watches or Aura rings for you right now. There's chocolate chips on the counter for you right now and little baby steps. But is there anything else that you feel like has really taken the front seat for you right now in being able to rebuild true health and what
Yeah.
that actually is?
Yeah, I would say like Shamar and I have really like, and then protein. Tread with me lightly because protein can be very triggering for people. For me, my blood sugar would drop a lot, and that means I would get angry, I would get frustrated. So like, I'm always like, okay, what protein can I get in so I don't? And it's not because I'm trying to lean out; it's because I don't need to be a crazy person. I have a staff of 25 people. You know, I need to be the best mindful for me. And so building back that protein, you know, knowing what fuels my body and what doesn't, you know. Maybe I don't need to go to Chick-fil-A every single day because that's impacting me at the gym.
Yeah.
You know, even at the gym, I don't even, like, to this day, I can't tell you what I can curl. I can't tell you what I bench press. I have no idea.
Yeah.
I've stopped asking Shamar because it's gone up and down. I'm in a rehabbing area right now. I have severely messed up my hip. I've messed up my shoulder. So we haven't even been on the squat rack in probably over a year.
Yeah.
And, I had to work through a lot of that, you know, in the pact of like, hey, we're doing this for my body and for my muscles.
Yes.
And so I do have some goals. I do have some, like, now that I feel like I am at a healthy place in like mentally, there are some aspects of my body where, you know, I walk up a flight of stairs and I am still breathing heavily. You know, I want to be able to throw, like right now I can't throw balls like you know, my shoulder and stuff like that. I want to go be able to play kickball. You know, like there's just certain things
Yeah.
like right now, like there are certain things that are affecting that, but I also want to do it in a very healthy way and not a quick fix way.
Yeah.
And so that's still cooking in the kitchen. You know, I'm still cooking, you know, instead of cutting out all butters and oils, like I'm figuring out, okay, like maybe let's add some of them back in, you know? So it's definitely is a balance because like you could flip it and you could be like, let's get McDonald's every single day, you know? And it's like, hey, is that going to fuel your body?
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and along that line, you know, that's kind of my healing story. For years and years and years. I mean, I even had my kids doing this. It was like McDonald's was like the devil.
Yeah.
It was fast food in general, but McDonald's especially. Why? I don't know. Again, I walk some of this stuff back and it was something I heard or something I saw or something
Probably
that was said.
documentary, Fast Food Nation.
Yeah, who knows? So, but it was like McDonald's was the one that took the brunt of it for me. And it was like, no, we don't get this because it's terrible, da-da-da. My kids on it, they were demonizing it. They were telling their friends who were eating McDonald's that they were like, I've had to go back and undo all of this. Like actually have conversations with my kids' friends and they're going to be like, I'm sorry because that was shitty of me. And my kids too. So then when I started this like journey for me and like healing, then I kind of went like ham on McDonald's and was like, yep, I'm gonna drive through and get it today and get it today and get it today. And I, you know, who knows how many days, but it truly, like I got to the point where like, I would kind of make fun of myself and be like, yeah, because for so long I restricted it that it was like, now that I'm allowing myself to do it and I'm taking the shame off of it and all that stuff, I want McDonald's. And then after a certain amount of time of doing that, I was like, okay, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good. And I have not had McDonald's since. Like, it's like I'll have a breakfast sandwich every once in a while. I do. And every once in a while I will grab like a Happy Meal or something like that for my kids and maybe like eat like a half a burger or something out of it, but I don't love it. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like one of those things.
But it was like we were told no.
Yes.
For so long.
And once I gave it up and was like, this is not death. This is not, it is food. And again, I took the power away from that. Now, again, McDonald's just sits in front of me and it's like, yeah, no, I don't want that. Because do I even like that? Like, that's how psychological it is do I even like this food? Or have I just obsessed about it for so long because I've been told I can't have it and I've been told it's bad. And it's like the rebel in me that wants it then.
Yeah.
But it's crazy. The second I took the power away from that, it was like, yeah, no, I'm good. I actually would rather have XYZ. And it's usually something that is much better as far as like calories, saturated fat, protein, and just something that's going to fuel my body in a better way. And again, if I want a Big Mac, I'm going to eat a damn Big Mac. And if I want a full Coke, like not a Diet Coke, I'm going to drink a Coke. And again, for me, that is 1,000 times better because if I don't, or if I say, no, Krista, you can't have that Big Mac, immediately it triggers and immediately I will obsess about it. You and I talked about this yesterday too. The idea of like, out of sight, out of mind, or just not putting stuff. That's the number one things I swear to God trainers will say to this day is if you don't, like if you can't eat it, you're not supposed to be eating it, don't buy it and put it in your house. Are y'all kidding me? Are y'all kidding me with that answer?
Yeah.
We have cars. We have legs. We have Ubers. We have bicycles.
DoorDash.
We have DoorDash. We have fucking electric scooters that I'm almost hitting a kid on every single day in my neighborhood. And you really think that is real advice?
Right.
It is wild to me that people still give advice like that. And again, that advice is set up to make sure that if you don't follow my instructions, you are to blame.
Right.
Because I made it easy. Don't put it in your house.
Yeah.
Kat, if you binge on donuts, don't buy them.
Right.
Idiot. Don't put them in your house. Idiot. And then when you leave your house to go get donuts and eat a half a dozen of them, and then you're not getting the results, and you're sure as hell not telling me because I'm the shaming trainer who told you not to do it in the first place, and you feel like, I don't know what's happening, I'm just going to eat 6 donuts, and at least I didn't have it in my house, trainer. That's what you said. It creates this whole cycle of crazy instead of me being the better trainer and really leaning into it and being like, okay, so donuts are the food that gets you. No problem. Like, how do you feel about having a donut a day?
Right.
Every day for the near future.
And then you'll be over it.
And then you'll be like, what?
Yeah.
I'll be like, yeah, have a donut every single day. for as long as we're training together.
Because it's not emotionally binding at that point.
I promise you, me just saying that is going to release you from so much.
Yeah.
But then also you actually doing it, eventually you're going to be like, huh.
Right.
Okay. And again, this is going along with like therapy and leaning into recovery and things like that, because you have to be doing work alongside of this. It can't just be like, I'm going to eat a donut every single day for the rest, like, and then, you know, magically you're going to wake up always. Again, sometimes it might be. That's how it was for me at McDonald's.
Yeah.
But you may have a food or you may have something deeper going on that you need to be leaning in and actually doing some more work in that area. But again, trainers, like, do better.
Yeah.
Do better on that stuff and don't continue to set people up for failure because it's the easy thing to do. It's the easy thing to do for a fitness, for a gym, for a fitness professional, anybody, to give advice like that, leaving the wiggle room for me to turn around and point it back at you.
Right.
Or you've got so much shame, you wouldn't even try to point it at me.
Right.
You would 100% just automatically be like, yep, that was me again.
Right.
That was me again. Okay, so building back True Health, we talked about, we already talked about, you know, like disarming diet culture, which is essentially something that you've got to do to move forward. Figuring out what's important. I think you kind of touched on this too, like with the protein. We know protein's important, but you can't do a shake right now, so modify it.
Yeah.
And so you're putting it in, I almost like cottage cheese. She's not doing that. Putting it in her yogurt and
eating
you know,
it as a
eating
dip
it. Yeah.
with
and
like
so
bananas. Well, no, strawberries, apples, stuff like that.
So modifying the thing that we know is important, but we really like, we can't do it because it's a trigger or something that you don't want to do. You don't want to go down that way. It can be the same thing with the scale. Like some people are like, you know, I really, because of like a medical reason or because of whatever, I really want to be able to keep track of my results. Sometimes it is too because it's a motivator, but we're not going to do that with a scale. So how do we modify that? We use the InBody. We don't let you see the results. We just look at the results and then we let you know, hey, we're on the right track. Great job. Let's keep this up. Going by how you feel, going by how your pants fit. You need some type of result because that's kind of in your head. It's like, I have to get a result. Well, let's figure out a different way that we can measure that. So I think those things are really important too with building it back, creating, again, that circle of people around you and continuing to modify that and set boundaries, I think is really important.
Yeah.
And then focusing on quality of life.
Yeah.
You know, we talk about that all the time, but like quality of life, there will be this day that the switch will flip and you'll be like, you know what? I don't give a crap anymore about like my pant size. What I really care about is the fact that I hurt.
Yeah.
All the time, or I'm not strong enough to do this, or I'm not capable of doing this. You know, the examples that we have in the gym are amazing, like falling off a jet ski and being able to get your ass back on it in the middle of a river, being able to bend down to pick something up and put it, getting in and out of the car, being able to sleep pain-free, like different things like that.
Like I tried to get on a dock the other day, not gonna lie, and I couldn't pull myself up. And I was like, I grew up at the beach. I grew up getting on docks. Like I was like, ooh, Shamarzies, we're gonna have to work on this. And you know, and like it's nothing wrong. It's just those are like, you know, like getting on and off planes. I go on airplanes all the time. We've talked about this. But like my carry-on is a good 30, 40 pounds. But like, you know, trying to get those on and off, like, you know, there are times where I'm like, ow, you know. And so I think also too, like you said, like, you know, being able to say, I don't care anymore. Like a big healing was like the other day I was going to a wedding and the night before I had in pure cat fashion, had not packed, didn't know what I was doing. I was driving you guys all crazy. I went and stopped and got Chick-fil-A. You know what? And she gave me a free milkshake through the window. And in my brain, I was like, yeah, I'll take that because it's a twofold. We think my old self would have been like, oh, I shouldn't eat that right now because I'm about to get in a wedding dress and I'm about to get in a bathing suit and blah, blah, blah. This is not going to affect my weight for 2 days later. Just like me starving myself before an event is also not going to affect your weight. So either way, you're in a lose-lose. So why don't you just eat your food? I'm going to get real passionate about that because like, you're like, oh, I'm going to gain all this weight if I eat this. You also understand that you're not going to lose all this weight if you don't eat that. It's okay though. But it's also like one of those things too of like in our healing thing is like, I have to be accountable to myself, but I also have to be accountable in a way of like, if I ask you, hey, Carissa, don't let me look at the InBody. And you're like, okay. And then you don't, I'm not going to, well, Carissa, I just really wanted to see it. Why don't you let me see it? Like, okay, no, this is not what we're going to do. Like if you say to us, hey, these are things I struggle with, don't go back on that, because that is one of my biggest pet peeves. Like, say what you mean what we say. If you want to start this journey, but that was really passionate. I'm sorry, because I should be a lot nicer at times about that stuff.
It's not really what we do here.
Yeah, it's not. I think it's because I did it to you for the longest time, because I don't know what it was. It was almost like I want to see it, but I don't want to see it. I want to see it. And it's like,
well, but if you're doing it with the right person.
Yes, exactly.
You recognize that. Like, I would never even think twice about that. Like, I would never, in that example that you're giving, I would never think, oh yeah, that's what Kat did to me ever, until you just said that. And I'm like, oh yeah, I guess maybe you did do that. But again, I have empathy for people going through it, because that is literally what's happening in your brain.
Yeah.
So it's like almost impossible to not be like, I totally get that. I can see the disorder. It's like the devil and the angel battling it out inside of your brain. And one of it's diet culture and the other one's freedom. And it just, diet culture does not want to give up. Your eating disorder does not want to give up. It wants what it wants. And again, we're always being inundated with the next thing and the other things. And we felt like for a while we were kind of coming out of the skinny culture thing, and things were like on the up and up with that. And now I just feel like we've gone back 1,000 times. And I think it's just always going to be a battle, because if you're a part of this $90 billion industry, you're not trying to fix anything. You're not trying to change anything. You're not giving that up at the end of the day. And so that's what we have to keep in mind, is we are dollars lining somebody's pocket. We are not people. We are not human beings. And so that's what we really want to help people. Again, that's where this part of rebuilding and redefining is the last part of this. Redefining your goals is where you take back your own autonomy. I don't care what the shitfluencers are doing. I don't care about the fit check and what I eat in the day. I don't care. I could care less about that crap. And that's really the attitude that you have to take right now, is I don't care about that. And it has to be your own thing, your own autonomy, what feels good to me, what feels right to me. And that could change. Because again, what felt right to me for so many decades was a straight up eating disorder.
Exactly.
And so, like, was there a part of me in there that was going, like, this doesn't feel right. This doesn't, I don't like this. Yes, but I couldn't recognize it. But that will ebb and flow, and it will change. And when you know better, you do better. And at the end of the day, that's all we can do, because our information is controlled to a certain extent, like what gets to us. It is controlled by who's got control of the algorithm right now, and what we're being hit with, and, you know, where our parents came from and the environment that we grow up in, and what our teachers tell us in school. I mean, we are 100% affected by all those things, and all these things that we can't always control. So we've got to control the things that we can, and we've got to get back to, again, at the end of the day, you and I talk about this all the time, is respecting our own body, respecting our own ability, respecting our own discernment, and being like, you know what, my body can start giving me some cues. I'm going to relearn some of this stuff, but my body can give me some of my own cues and my own discernment, my own, like, if I really sit in this for a second and I'm like, does this seem right? Does this feel like the lemon water thing?
Right.
Like, I should do this, but it feels like shit. So should I really do this? No. And that's just a discernment. That's just a decision. And then you go, okay, no more lemon water.
Right.
And that might come back someday. It might not. Who cares? No lemon water right now, because it makes me feel like crap and triggered. Let's move on to something else.
I just kind of got like a little bit of a vision of, like, you know, I think sometimes when people listen to this, like, they're not realizing that we're 4 or 5 years into this, you know?
Totally.
So some people are maybe thinking, oh my gosh, I have to do this. I have to, like, they have just jumped in the deep end. And I want people to visualize that they are walking into a kiddie pool. That they have just stepped off the step into 1 foot water. We're not on the diving board. We're not on the deep end, because the deep end, when you can't swim, you are drowning. When you walk into the shallow end, then you have a rail that can help you. You have steps that go down, because it is gradual. It is not just an immediate. And so that is where, like, when you're listening to this, if you're like, holy cow, they have said a lot and I don't even know where to begin, think of the shallow end. Think of one thing that you're like, okay, let's do this, and then work on that for a couple weeks, and then do this. And like, this is how we build. It's not immediate. This is years worth of numerous things that maybe we'll continue to chat about this. But like, I think sometimes sometimes people can get overwhelmed in the overload of information.
Absolutely.
One thing at a time.
Yeah. It's the exact same thing that we're telling people about health and nutrition, right? It's like, it's overwhelming. People want to jump in and be like, I'm going to go 6 days a week. I'm going to drink 100 ounces of water every single day. I'm going to take all the supplements, and then we always tell them, chill out.
Yeah.
You're setting yourself up for failure. It's the same thing with recovery. It's the same thing with healing. It's the same thing with decentering skinny in your life. It's going to be a process. It's something that you've got to do one baby step at a time. And you're probably going to take a lot of steps backwards.
Yeah.
We do constantly, but then we talk about it, we share it. And the biggest thing that I will say is, again, the people who you surround yourself with matters.
Yeah.
Because again, if you don't have somebody to kind of, throw things against the wall with, like we do, like we've created this. It doesn't happen in a vacuum. You have to find people, you have to find resources, you have to put yourself in a better situation when it comes to like your environment where you can, but give it time. Find the right people around you, take the steps where you can, get help in, nutrition and from therapists and different things like that also makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
I know therapy for me has been absolutely huge. A lot of stuff I've kind of unpacked without even knowing. I've been like, holy crap, well, that's where that came from. And I just didn't even know it. I tucked it away as normal. Depending on when you grew up, again, a lot of that stuff was just very normal. It still is to this day, but I feel like back then it was wild. I grew up in the days of Nicole Richie being called thick.
Madonna.
So, it's just like, come on, get an actual grip. She weighed like 97 pounds.
Right.
So anyway, so there are a lot of things that have created this space for us, but we want you all to listening to this to feel empowered to be able to make change for you. Again, using your own discernment, like, does something in what we're talking about resonate? Does something in what we're talking about make you mad?
Right.
Sometimes that's a little bit of a, people will get a little bit pissy and a little bit defensive. That would be something to self-assess, like Kat was saying, do a little self-assessment. Like, am I getting pissy about that because I feel convicted about it? Because that was me. I had to start getting convicted about stuff when I started introducing my stuff to a lot of weight neutral stuff. Like, what? No, we go by portion
getting mad
sizes.
when you started calling me out on things, and I was like, I don't know who she thinks she is, but that's not what I'm doing. 100% what I was doing.
100%, same. So that's, we hope if nothing else, you guys, again, the conversation is what reaches. Again, are we going to have all the answers? No, hell, we're trying to figure out the answers still.
Yeah.
And I think they're not always tangible. They're not always something you can like pluck out and be like, okay, fit check. This is what I eat in the day type post. This is like, it's messy and it's very like 4D. It's coming at you from all directions. And it ebbs and it flows and it changes, but healing is 100% possible. It is it is hard, it is messy, but it is 2000% worth it. I would not go back for anything in the world, in the world. And I don't ever want my kids to live. I've got 3 girls and I don't ever want them to grow up the way I did. Obsessing about food and obsessing about the way they look and putting centering skinny and putting all of their worth into the way that they look. What a freaking waste of time and energy.
Right.
Somebody said to me one time, or I can't remember where I saw this or somebody said it to me, but it was like, if every woman on the planet stopped thinking about being thin or what they look like in general, imagine if we all put that time into something else.
Right. Be wild.
We would 1,000% already be, Jetsons.
Right.
Cars flying and taking over the world and all the things. But
you said this to me the other day and it's kind of resonated with me and it's a little morbid, but like I would encourage people, write your own obituary. Because I don't think anywhere in there that you're going to write, I'm so excited that I went to the gym 6 days a week and that I was a size 4 and that I ate my carrots and hummus.
Yeah.
Because if you could find me an obituary that says any of that stuff, I would love to see it.
Yeah. Or have you ever been to a funeral that anybody ever got up and spoke about a person, tears streaming down their face and said, Kat always hit her protein goals. And Kat we got her, buried yesterday in her size 6, how she would have wanted to be.
Yeah.
No cap sleeves. And like, what
and
the
I
fuck?
laugh because it sounds ridiculous.
I know.
But like,
And you could say the same. I could say the same thing about me. Like, here lies Carissa. We made sure she had a spray tan, and like,
But really,
get a grip.
yeah.
Yes. And
Yeah.
so those are the things, again, like we're saying, you gotta recenter the right things. You gotta make that a practice. Do something silly like that. Like talk about your own. I mean, again, it is a little morbid, but it is
Yeah.
what it is. Like be a little bit silly with that stuff. And how dumb does that sound?
Yeah.
Like how dumb does that sound? And y'all, we got more important things to do with our time at the
do.
end of the day. So we got a lot of ass to kick and a lot of things to do. And so that kind of stuff has got to go.
Yeah.
So anyway, anything else you would like to throw on there?
No,
Catherine?
No, this has just been awesome. And just, I think that you are, like I've said this before, but yeah, we're in Greenville right now, but I think this is just the beginning. So I'm excited.
Clock that.
Yeah.
Clock that.
Just bring me along. I'll be your little assistant.
Please, you'll be leading. You'll be dragging me, my spray tan corpse. I'm just kidding. It's Halloween time, guys. I had to make a Halloween joke. Okay, so thank you so much for being here.
No, thanks
again,
for having
this
me.
will not be the last time. This is just, I mean, I think it's, again, just so powerful and so important for us to just put words out there and keep rolling with this. So as always, you guys, if you are listening to this and you feel like you are resonating with something, you feel like you are struggling with something, we want to encourage you to reach out for help with therapists, help with a nutritionist. If it's more significant than that, there are definitely resources that you can call about more significant eating disorder type of things. If nothing else, you can always message us and we will help get you resources.
Yeah.
It's really important, you guys. It's a real thing. Eating disorders and disordered eating are very, very real and they can be very serious. And we want you guys to take that stuff seriously and get the help that you need. So if at any point you feel like that, do not hesitate to reach out and take care of you. And then in the meantime, follow us on all the socials, watch us on YouTube, listen to us on Spotify and Apple. Give us all the feedback. We love to hear the feedback. And if you have questions that you want us to answer in the future, do not hesitate to let us know. Thanks so much for being here, Kat.
Thank you.
All right. See y'all next time. Bye.
Bye.
It's about to really hurt some people's feelings. So if you're a little sensitive, you might as well turn this joint off right now. Okay?